GM, what is up, everybody? I am Hunter. Today is Tuesday, December 14th, and this is the Morning Mint. We're going to go over some quick market stuff, a couple little things in the news, specifically around Artifact Studios and their big deal. And we'll keep it short and simple today. Did see Danny Cole from Creature World hinting that the journey is near. For those who don't know, Creature World is Danny Cole's project that revolves around these profile characters, these creatures. I spent a lot of time with Danny in New York and getting to know him over the last couple of months. I do expect for this project to be something different. A lot of other projects aren't doing. So I do think the journey and what he's been building over the last few months will be very exciting. I think a lot of people will buy in. We have seen a lot of NFL players, NBA players buying into this project that is more affordable, a floor of like 1.8, 1.9. So really excited for this. And yeah, like definitely keep an eye on it. Also, for those who are interested in learning more about the tax implications of everything that's happening within NFTs, we're going to have a talk today at 3 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be tacos, taxes on Tuesday. Definitely join in. It'll be a good time. Everybody seems to really enjoy talking about taxes. And it's definitely something you're going to want to know about. So the big news that I wanted to talk about today, and this is really the main topic for the video, is Nike straight up acquiring Artifact Studios, which is a next gen sneakers and collectibles for metaverse. So essentially it's fashion for the metaverse. So sneakers, clothing, as well as what we've seen them come out with, the Clone X project. Now this was interesting. We've seen a lot of people be very receptive and excited to this. Justin Taylor from Twitter here, obviously very excited, picking up 2 amazing Clone X's. I think this is exciting, right? To see such a huge, one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand in the world, acquiring a Web3 company. A lot of people, though, finding fault within this. Nike announcing this on their official website, announcing the acquisition, talking a little bit about why this company was acquired, about Nike. Doesn't really share too much on their plans here, but when you think about it, Nike at its core is a company that tells a story, knows how to brand, create virality around their products. So to see them make this acquisition, to see Artifact, sell 20,000 ETH worth of products, and then for Nike to kind of step in and say, hey, we're going to take this to another level, is exciting. But to the issues that came out of this and what everybody's talking about and why everybody's talking about CCO and Creative Commons and IP ownership and transparency is that, it was revealed after mint. So, people spent a lot of money on this and they didn't know their IP rights. That's a little bit to the consumer's fault. Like if you don't know, then you should be aware that there can be changes to this. But they did announce in the 9th amendment within this, I think, IP and legal disclosure that you will not create, sell, or attempt to create or sell fractionalized interests in the NFT or the digital collectible, separate, unlink, or decouple the NFT owned content from the NFT with which it is associated to, form the digital collectible. Also, use any artifact owned content or modify content to create, sell, or attempt to create or sell any new cryptographic token. They also announced on their Twitter for licensing that we will have 2 license types for Clone X. Clones without the Murakami drip traits will be allowed to be commercialized by owners up to $1 million. The clones with the Murakami drip not coming with a commercial license. DC investor weighing in here in the comments saying, quote unquote, up to 1 million. What the hell is this? does either give rights or don't. Like, it is kind of weird. It's a half play. I think this is, I'm sure Nike's lawyers, Murakami lawyers, I can only imagine what the discussions were like and why that decision was made. And we have people weighing in like Chris Wallace here saying, let me get it right. Like, they just made 20,000 ETH, restricted the license, then immediately announced that they're acquired by a corporation. These are all kind of like things that normally in the community we would be fudded. And we would, kind of look at it and be like, hey, that's really messed up. But I think just because of, it being Nike, the fact that Artifact is this, Halo child within the community for what they're doing, I wouldn't say allows them to get away with it. But I do think that there were some exceptions to like where other projects I think would have gotten destroyed over this. Nonetheless, like, I'm very, very happy for Artifact. I'm very happy for Nike. Excited for what they're going to do next. And you can see it. The market is excited as well. Looking at the top NFTs, which has usually been reserved for CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club, today it is nothing but CloneX and the CloneX mint vials, the vials that you use to, essentially like the Bored Ape Yacht Club vials. You can burn the vial, you get a CloneX, or with mint passes with Pixel Vault. The rest of the market's looking pretty, standard. I don't see anything too crazy happening this morning. I think CryptoPunk's got a little bit of volume bump over the last 24 hours. Punk's comic kind of just chilling, nothing crazy there. I think that still feels like this sleeping giant where, announcements are around the corner and, the utility and the value they're providing to holders, I just don't think it's hit the market yet. It'll be interesting to see how that Adidas deal plays out. It'll be interesting to see what else they are working on there. But, kind of looking through the rest of the market, pretty standard. Don't see anything too nuts. I'm really leaning towards like some of these that have been like very stable, like what's coming, what's next. Things that feel very blue chip, like World of Women feels super blue chip to me. And we haven't seen a lot of movement in this price. Meebit's the same thing, where, if we look at World of Women, it's just been like, there's very little risk here, right? I don't think that this has been hyped up. I think that there's probably lots in the works for this. It's one of those projects that I would keep an eye on. Looking quickly at CloneX, what the floor looks like here. We'll take a quick look at the activity. I mean, this is just up, right? Like, more and more people are flooding in. I think the volume's going to increase. The floor looking like what right now? So there's some interesting ones on the floor. I was thinking about getting a 3D glasses one, something that looked kind of like me. It looks like it's going to cost like 8 ETH. And this kind of like poses the question. A lot of people are like, well, is this the time to buy? Are they going to keep going up? I think a lot of times we see a drop like this happen, and there's going to be a couple of days of like extreme hype, and then the flippers, the people who are getting in, start to get to that point where, they start kind of cannibalizing at the floor price. I don't know if we're there yet. I think there's going to be a lot of demand for this, at least for the next 2 days. I'm sure we're going to see the floor on this push 10. So, I think there's risk if you're trying to like flip with 6 to 10 floor. It'll be interesting. We'll have to see how it plays out. Do they make any more announcements? Is the hype going to die off a little bit here? We'll have to see. But, this is one of those very hard questions as a buyer in the market. So I definitely buy it if you're happy to hold it and like weigh things out. Nike is behind the helm now. So this is going to be probably one of the most coveted NFTs going forward. So long-term, yes, I think there's value here. Short-term flip, I do think there's some volatility in the overall NFT market. So we could see this, take a turn down in the short term. So if you can hold through that, you'll be fine probably. The mint vials has been super interesting. We saw these at like 6 ETH yesterday. It's up even another half an ETH since the beginning of this video. This feels a little high to me. I think a lot of offers for 10 are coming in. Everybody wants to play the gambling game, right? Like this is a gambling game. You could get a floor, you could get something worth 200. So it kind of comes down to, do you want to risk $45,000? Probably not the place to play anymore. I think back when the floor was closer to like 8 and 7, yes, it was probably worth it then to pick up a vial. Now, not so much. So we'll have to see what happens there. Mutant Ape Yacht Club pulling back to 6 ETH. Activity-wise, the volume over the last 14 days, pretty steady. Nothing here, but I think the average price pulling back more and more. The one thing that we have noticed with all Bored Ape Yacht Club projects is the increased number of compromised accounts. So every day we're seeing more and more of these apes either get stolen or fat fingered and sold for 4.0 ETH instead of 40 ETH. It's been interesting to watch that play out. So I think there's a lot happening within this ecosystem, with like people speculating, scams happening, but we haven't seen anything like we saw a game get announced yesterday. I think that should have been a topic here. Watching a mutant ape and Bored Ape game get announced with a large game studio, and we didn't see a huge price increase anywhere. And we've seen this comment made before where a lot of this news comes out around Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant Ape Yacht Club, but we don't see like a huge price reaction, where a lot of these other projects, if they made this announcement, there would be a huge price change. So it kind of poses the question, like, how do you go up from here? I think a lot of people, and I could be wrong here, I think a lot of people are simply holding, hoping that they're going to get some sort of token drop, in Q1 of next year, which they've announced. But we don't know. Like it could be any sort of mechanic to how that drop happens and how it's earned and distributed. So it does feel a little speculative right now. It might be worth, if you have a bunch of mutants, pulling a little bit off the table, because we could see this get weak with lack of news over the next 2 months, where this pulls back to like a 40 floor. I think that's very possible. We'll see. Again, everything I'm saying, like we'll see what happens. Punk's comic, the activity still has been mostly around Punk's 2 comic coming out. We saw this dip all the way down to 0.3. Price is starting to come back as people are picking this up. So it does seem like a floor has been met. I think this price does change, though, when the supply shock hits, which means there's going to be another 5,000 of these comics hitting people's wallets. I think that will add more pressure to sell, because everybody's getting a free 0.3 ETH. And I think that with the other special edition comics, yes, those will definitely have more demand, since they are going to be they're different. They're special collectibles, but they don't offer that utility. They're essentially the same thing as a Punk's 2 comic, just a different cover. So we'll see what happens there. Those are purely, in my mind, collectibles. There is no utility to them. There is no added benefit. And in my mind, long term, I don't see them, appreciating the same way if you were to buy a Founders DAO token, which I think is a great value buy currently. Doodle is another project that I want to highlight here. Still kind of trending sideways over the last couple of weeks. We're seeing kind of just sideways. If you can get in around 2.6, you're probably gonna like the way that plays out over the next couple of months and long term. This is another project that feels super blue chip to me. I feel like they have a lot of brand opportunity. They have a lot of merch opportunity, and the roadmap for how they can build this out seems very exciting. And the same thing with CoolCats. But we are seeing CoolCats currently start to tail off on trading. This is one where opportunities, I think, are going to start to arise. We definitely have seen the game that, or at least the metaverse that they have pop up. We can pull that up real quick. It looks great. Like, if you haven't visited the CoolCat site recently, they're showing what the future of this could look like. Each of these is clickable, takes you somewhere. They kind of tease what breeding, the milk, what you can use milk to purchase. Obviously they're hinting at some of this in becoming more of a brand, merchandise, what collaborations are they going to have going forward. So definitely keep an eye on those. And again, like I wanted to mention in that we had a huge announcement for Bored Ape Yacht Club around having a game. We have tokens coming, big collaborations, more celebrities. The one thing I'll note here is we didn't see the price change. We're within, 13 ETH of the punk floor. So flipping is still a discussion. Stepping back from this project overall, the one thing I would keep an eye on is MoonPay. I feel like MoonPay is a silent player. Well, not silent, but they're lurking, kind of waiting for whatever this token drop is. And they're using Bored Ape Yacht Club as kind of a marketing tool to get more eyes on what MoonPay is. I mean, hell, I'm even talking about it right now. I do think watching what they do can be revealing to what Bored Ape Yacht Club's plans are. We know that Ivan has a huge budget right now for marketing. We know that they're obviously in discussions. So I think whatever we see, these small strategic moves by MoonPay might show us what's coming in the future. So currently we're seeing that the floor for this is still kind of just trending sideways, a little bit of an increase here into the low 50s. No huge sales except for John Knopp's sale for I think like 1.5 million. Huge congrats to him. Looking at CryptoPunks real quick, CryptoPunks have been interesting. Like we haven't seen a huge price increase since we had that huge run up to 140. And that kind of poses this whole question of, do you want something that's, early and is a collectible and kind of shows OG-ness, or do you want something that's newer, has, these brand deals, has development, communication from the development team, pushing NFTs forward to what they can be? This whole, do you want a Bored Ape or Punk? And we are kind of seeing, I think, the lack of communication, the lack of development kind of show here with the floor. So floor at 64 ETH there. Recent sales for punks over the last 24 hours. We're only seeing about a dozen or so sold over the last 24 hours. 87, 80, 1-3D for 125. That's a great purchase. Big glasses for 61. A pink hair for 159. That's the big sale, it looks like, over the last 24 hours. We did have about a day ago a beanie go for sale for 374 ETH, which is 1.4 million. But yeah, the punks market kind of mellowing out. We even saw a hoodie for 250. So hoodies down under a million again. We're going to see, I think, more and more of a pullback here, and we'll reach a floor and things will mellow out, and that'll be buying opportunity for collectors and investors. But I don't know if we've seen the bottom yet. And obviously the price of ETH is going to have a big impact on this. The overall market currently kind of flat over the last 24 hours. Over the last week, though, I think there's been a lot of blood in the market, specifically around, the whole idea of inflation, coronavirus, tech sector getting slammed, with China fears. All these are different factors. We talked about this on the last Morning Mint that we recorded, that there is never going to be like one factor. Even open interest percentage on Ethereum and Bitcoin is going to be playing a factor here where, if we start to get a little bit of a slide and there's margin calls, those margin calls are going to eat away and actually send this much lower quicker as those get placed. So those are all things that are happening at the same time, and all these dynamic factors are certainly going to be hard to predict. I know there was a bet offered up that said that we'll see 3,000 ETH before we see 5,000, but both will happen. It's interesting here. I can definitely see us going lower. I can definitely see us going higher. There is no crystal ball. But looking at the chart here, we've kind of broken out of this standard upward motion that we've had since we were down at 2,800. There's newer lows being made. The highs that are being made afterwards are not strong. They're kind of fading away. And even now, within the last hour, we're seeing this kind of breakout. trying to push forward over to like 3,900 and back up to 4,000, falling short. Volume hasn't been super high over the last 24 hours. So, it always does fear me when we see big Ethereum kind of falling with this low volume activity. Definitely keep your eye here. Like I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but we're definitely in kind of a zone where the support down here at like 3,700 is definitely going to be tested again. It doesn't look like there's people clamoring to get back in, and we've definitely seen both sides of the argument. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes open. Not a very informative discussion there. Kind of just saying like you need to be aware. We're not in this sideways motion where things are safe and you can relax. I've definitely pulled some money off the table for stables. I think the biggest thing here is making sure if you have a tax bill that you're aware of what that number is and that you have that available to pay, even if this goes down to 2,000 for one ETH. Obviously, if that happens, we're not going to stay there forever, but taxes are not going to be there forever. You're going to have to pay those within the next few months, and obviously, even people are going to have to pay pre-taxes by the 15th of January, I believe. So there is a closing date there. So definitely keep an eye on this. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. Leave questions, comments below. Happy to get back to doing more of these, and we'll catch you all on the next one.